see what you thought about stopping by my neighborhood later this afternoon. Maybe we can go to the cafe or just enjoy some entertainment. What do you think?
Are you crazy? Haven't you heard? We're supposed to be social distancing. Get a clue, man.
All right, everyone, maybe you could have guessed, but today we'll be talking about our neighborhood. Let's go ahead and start. Our first word today, in terms of talking about neighborhoods, we can use this noun to help talk about what our neighborhood has. And that word is entertainment. Now, entertainment can be a number of things. Anything that gives us enjoyment or pleasure, or that we find joy out of. Some examples that I can think of off the top of my head are maybe the theater, or a concert, or any type of live performance. Now, don't forget to use this word when talking about Ho Chi Minh City, because there are so many different forms of entertainment. Moving forward with the same theme of neighborhood, our next word is nightlife. And yes, nightlife does stem from entertainment. Some forms of nightlife might be going to the local bar or pub, or even, as we talked before, those live concerts. Now, a famous area here in Ho Chi Minh City might be Viên, famous for its active nightlife. Another great noun that we can use to talk about our neighborhood or our city is cultural attractions. And don't forget that final S, guys, cultural attractions, because this city has many to choose from. We're all familiar with the famous Benton Market. There's also the local pagodas in District 5, as well as museums, zoos, public art galleries, anything of that such. So if you'd like to talk more about your city, don't forget to talk about all the cultural attractions. Now, our next noun that we have to talk about is amenities. Now, the definition of amenity is any desirable or useful feature that we have that can maybe improve our quality of life. Now, some examples that we have here for you are our gym or fitness center, even our computer lounge, or our swimming pool. I wish that my swimming pool was open right now so that I could make use out of it during this time alone at home. All right, and our next word here is public services. Once again, don't forget that final S, because there are many public services that are provided for each of us here in Ho Chi Minh City. Now, we have some examples such as banks, courts, parking garages, any healthcare or environmental areas, education. These are all public services, and I'm happy that we get to use all of them. My personal favorite word to talk about my neighborhood here in Ho Chi Minh City is food scene. I like to think of it as the local cuisine. Now, I actually fell in love with the cuisine here way before I even stepped foot in the country. Because of the show No Reservations by Anthony Bourdain, I became a fan of Vietnamese food, such as banh mi, pho, or even bánh xào. Let's go ahead and get started with a quick activity before we begin today. Now, the first thing we're going to do is match our nouns on the left with the definition on the right. Let's get started. Let's look at number one, our noun, noisy. Do you know what it means? Correct. C, loud. Man, my neighbor is so noisy. Good. How about number two, rural? Rural. What's number two, rural? Yes, that is correct. E, outside of the city. I live in a rural area, about 30 minutes from downtown. Let's move on to number three, crime-ridden. What's that? Well, that should be easy for you. Yes, A. with a lot of crime. Maybe some areas are notorious to be crime-ridden. Now let's look at our next word for quaint. What is quaint? Good, it's D, yes. Old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. The quaint streets of Ho Chi Minh City are very quiet nowadays. And our last word, number 5, is green. Green. Now, my old house, my old apartment used to be near the zoo. When I walked outside, it was so green. Nice. Good job, everybody. Let's take a look at our first question today. The question is, what's your neighborhood like? Now, when we see this question, maybe we should think to ourselves, which tenses, which structures should we use to answer this question correctly? Can you guess? Yep, we're going to use the present simple. Maybe we can say there is and there are, and use some of the nouns that we used previously in this lesson. Let me give you an example. Well, if someone asked me, what's your neighborhood like? I would say, it's quite nice. There's a lot of entertainment and amenities. The food scene is fantastic, so there's always something good to eat. It's really noisy though, so I guess that's a trade-off. I still like it though. Question number 2. Have you always lived in the same area? Once again, let's think about the tenses and the structure. What should we use? Do you know? Correct. Maybe we should talk in the past simple or even the present perfect. Let me give you my example. If someone asked me, have you always lived in the same area? No. I'm actually from a quaint little town in the countryside, very green and rural. I came to Ho Chi Minh City with my family when I was 8. We lived in District 3 for about 10 years, and then we moved to District 2. Now we live in District 7. We've moved quite a bit for my dad's job. Question number 3. What do you dislike about your neighborhood? Let's do it again, guys. Tenses and structures. Maybe we use present simple. You can use there is and there are to talk about the nouns. And I think this is also a great opportunity to use adverbs of frequency. Here's my answer. What do you dislike about your neighborhood? Well, it's crowded, noisy, and polluted because there are way too many vehicles on the roads. The traffic is also really dangerous. Plus, it's crime-ridden, so you always have to keep your doors locked, and you have to be careful if you go on holiday. Our next question, do you think you'll always live in your current home? What are we going to do? Let's break it down. Yes, we will be using the future simple with will or be going to because we are making plans and or predictions. And also, second conditional, guys, a hypothetical situation. All right? So here's my example. Do you think you'll always live in your current home? I don't think so, no. I'd like to move out after I graduate from high school, but I don't know if my parents will let me. If I get the chance to study abroad, I would live on my own, of course. But right now, I'm going to focus on graduating, and then I'll think about that later. How well do you know your neighbors? Well, let's think about it, guys. Present simple as well as present perfect. Let's try to use both of those tenses in our answer. Here we go. How well do you know your neighbors? Not very well. As I mentioned earlier, my family moved quite a bit, so we haven't lived in our current house for that long. They seem all right though, quite friendly. They do sing karaoke though, and it gets pretty noisy at night. All right, everyone, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you guys all again real soon in the near future in our next episode of IELTS in a Nutshell. Have a good one.
VUS, your English, your future.